everyone, and welcome to the Her Hoop Stats podcast. Today is Thursday, July 24th. My name is Chelsea Leite, and I am joined by Coach Helen Williams, reunited at last.
Reunited, and it feels so good.
Exactly. I've just been singing so much on this podcast all week. We were singing Pink Pony Club at the beginning of the week. Now we're
I'm actually impressed. I'm impressed that you know that song.
Really? No,
I
love that song.
You were youngin'. So.
Yeah, I'm cultured though. We talked about this before we started recording.
You are.
Yeah, so good to see you again, Coach. It's been a few weeks with both of us traveling and all of that, but we're back. We're talking about WNBA action this week. Tonight, I guess there's 3 games tonight, so we're going to focus on that stuff, but we have a couple of fun things to chat about as well today. So thanks for joining us. If you are listening here on YouTube or on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you can also check us out on social media at Her Hoop Stats on X, Blue Sky, Instagram, and also at herhoopstats.com, where you can find all of our newsletters and such. So let's get into the first bit of news that we have today, which is that the Indiana Fever sent out an injury update about Caitlin Clark, who seemed to re-aggravate her groin about a week ago on July 15th, I think it was. Anyway, regardless, she re-aggravated that. She missed the Fever's last game before the All-Star break and then was ruled out of the All-Star game and the three-point contest. Then was ruled out of the Fever's game against New York on Tuesday and is out again against the Las Vegas Aces tonight. On Thursday. And so the Fever gave a little bit of an update on her, saying that she received further evaluation from doctors this week. They did not find any further damages or injuries to that groin. And so it is mostly just now recovery, rest, and pain management until she feels like she is ready to go back into the game, which they don't have a timeline for, and they will give updates as needed. And so basically that means stop asking about it, guys. We'll let you know when she's going to come back.
When you see her in the starting lineup and not on the injury list is when she's back.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like good news, bad news here in the sense that like it's good news that nothing was further injured. They didn't see anything on any of the scans or the evaluations that they did. I think the bad news is that it's one of those injuries where you really just have to wait it out until she is better. And, you know, it's hard with those muscles and stuff to guess when the timeline for that is going to be. So yeah, I mean, could be worse, could be better, but unfortunately that just means Caitlin Clark will be out for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, Indiana cannot catch a break. And I listened to, I thought Cindy Brunson had a great point yesterday on the podcast with Christy, where she talked about Caitlin needs to invest in I think she called it a physio. Like she needs to spend more time getting her body ready to play a game and recovering the right way.
Yeah.
It's not like she can't afford it. But I think it wasn't the same side. It was the opposite side. I thought so.
Yeah.
And they are tricky things. And the sad part is the only way to fix it is to just sit and let the body heal itself. But you know, Indiana, at least, you know, they make the playoffs. They know how to play with her. They know how to play without her. So
yeah, exactly.
It'll be interesting to see when she comes back. But obviously, they need her to advance. But so just tough luck for the kid.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, at this point, they're fighting to be in the playoffs. They're in that like 7-8 kind of stretch right now. This game against the Aces tonight is going to be so important because the two are so close in the standings. And so, it is a tough break for her, just given that it's not as simple as saying, okay, like you're going to rest 3 weeks and then you'll be done, or you have to have this done and then you'll be healed. It's one of those rough things. And I think you're right in the sense that she has the resources to be able to go and do the stuff that could help her heal faster. I'm not sure if it's true, but someone once said that like LeBron James spends $1 million a year on his body or something like that. And it's just like, yeah, the same kind of thing where these top athletes can invest in that kind of stuff. And so I wouldn't be shocked to see her do that as well. But yeah, it can't be easy for someone who has that much pressure on her, not just from herself, but from her, I'm sure the team isn't putting pressure on her, but fans put pressure on her. There's this whole narrative about the league needing her and all of this stuff. And I'm sure it's hard to be in that situation where you have this injury and, you have no idea when or how to make it go away.
Yeah, I mean, but if you take all that out of the picture, she's just a competitor who wants to play. So I'm
Yeah.
sure she's just pissed off that that she can't be out there. She's active during the game, trying to cheer on her teammates and coach,
Mhm.
but it's not the same thing. However, I will say that the benefit is that she can sit there and see the game from a different aspect,
Yeah.
from the coaching aspect, from the sideline. That should benefit her in terms of helping her reduce her turnovers.
Yeah.
Just seeing what's there, what's not there from a different angle. So I'm going to take the glass half full perspective in terms of her, being on the bench and not being able to play.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Like I've heard many athletes say that, as much as it sucks to sit on the sideline for a long time, they actually do love getting that perspective. They love having a veteran in their ear telling them and like kind of breaking down the game differently with them. So yeah, you're right. The positive here is that she will see the game from a different angle, hopefully be able to try and develop her game in that sense while she isn't able to be on the court. But that is the Caitlin Clark update for now. So yeah, just it is nice to get that kind of update from the team, but we'll see when they are able to update us next. So let's get into another fun thing we're gonna do. So, Coach, you came up with a top 5 list of things that you think are going to win the WNBA championship this year. And so let's get into each of those. I'm excited to see what they are and see if we agree on them. But hit us with number one.
Well, these aren't in any particular order, so
Okay.
I will say that I just think they're necessary, and it's nothing that's earth shattering. But from the beginning of the season, I've just been comparing New York and Minnesota and now Phoenix in terms of looking at all these things that I think are necessary. But number one is always going to be defense.
Hmm.
Always, always, always. Like everybody likes offense. It's pretty. People score. They make great moves and everything, but you do not win a championship unless you can defend
Hmm.
and keep other teams from scoring. And so I think that is a really key point. And my pet peeve about painting the point.
Paints in
You
the
know, you,
point.
yeah, points in
Points
the
in the
paint. Excuse me.
paint.
See, points in the paint. Points in the paint.
Points in the paint.
Um, looking at that, I'm looking at the Liberty. They gave up 42 points in the paint to Indiana the other night,
Mm,
and that's got to change if they're gonna win, especially against a team like we're all assuming it's going to be Minnesota and New York. It could be something different.
yeah.
Could be a surprise, but if you don't defend, you can't win a championship in my view.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you think Emma Meesman is gonna change that for New York Liberty?
Yeah, see, I don't. If you look at New York, they have a lot of uh, long, lanky players,
Mhm,
right? And so they're able to guard smaller players. Where I think they struggle is when people are quick with the dribble and they get downhill. And so a lot of teams that can spread them out, they struggle with teams that do that because they
mm,
have to try to guard somebody off the dribble. You're 6'4" and you're playing against somebody that's, what is 5'6", 5'7". That's going to be kind of tough to stop them off the dribble once they get their shoulder past you. So for them, they either have to stop that or they have to or do a better job of helping and even more helping and then recovering to whomever the person who penetrates kicks the ball out to, because that's where they struggle and people hit threes on them or they drive. So obviously I know she's going to help them on offense. I can't tell you right now how she will help them on defense because I have to see how they integrate her. Are they going to
mhm.
start her? Is she going to come off the bench? And so I think reserving judgment for that because we do still have the second half of the season for them to shore up and figure that out. But it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure she'll fit in offensively. That's a
Yeah.
no-brainer, obviously, but it'll be interesting to see, what they do with defense for New York.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about potentially having her in that starting lineup because right now you have Natasha Cloud, Ionescu, Phoebish, Stewie, and Jonquel Jones, who is back now. And like you would insert her maybe instead of Leonie Phoebish, but then you just have like the tallest lineup to ever exist. I don't know.
No, I wouldn't start her right away. I
Yeah.
would, because that's a great pop coming off the bench,
Yeah.
right? In terms of her versatile skill set, I would just and she's probably going to play a lot, so the actual total minutes, it doesn't matter if you start or if you come off the bench. But
Mhm.
I think New York is starting to get back that groove after Eurobasket and with injuries and everything, starting to figure that out. I wouldn't start her immediately. I would just have her come off the bench and then, work with the lineups, play around with it a little bit and see, if you feel like that's something you should do.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe the addition of her, whether she's coming off the bench or not, will kind of alleviate some of the pressure on Jonquel Jones as well, and hopefully prevent her re-injuring herself at a crucial time in this season, which they definitely don't want to do because she's so crucial to the success of this team.
Yeah, and that brings me to my
Mhm.
second point, which is health. Like
Yep.
you have to people have to be healthy. The best ability is availability. So, if you're injured or sometimes John Cole Jones gets in foul trouble, it would be nice to have somebody like Emma Mieseman come off the bench and be able to fill in because you're really not going to miss a whole lot in terms of skill set.
Mhm.
So the health piece is so crucial, which is why you have to this All-Star break really I know players wanted it to be longer because you need rest with all the
Yeah.
games that you have. So the health piece I think is huge.
Yeah, and I mean, think about key players who have been injured this season. We talked about Jonquel Jones. We've talked about Caitlin Clark. Like these are players, and Nafisa Collier missed a few games for the Minnesota Lynx as well. They just lost Carly Samuelson for the rest of the season. Like key depth players being injured is really crucial to these teams who are expected to make long playoff runs because we all know the deeper you get into the postseason, the more those injuries are gonna kind of flare up and the harder it's going to be to get over them because you're just so exhausted from playing 44 games in a season in however many months and then having to play a postseason and all of that. So it comes at you fast. I feel like the season is just rolling right now.
Yeah, and that's everybody's going to be banged up, right? So
Yeah.
nobody's going to be 100% when once you get to the playoffs, but you want to be as healthy as you can to compete in the championship.
Yeah, exactly. So what's your next point?
So the next point is bench play, which
Ooh.
ties into
Hmm.
health and depth and things like that. I said at the beginning of the year, I thought New York and Minnesota have the best benches in the league. I still think that it's going to be interesting to see how again New York uses Emma Mieseman, and the bench for Minnesota has been playing much better toward the end of the first half. So that's going to be key, I think, and that's again availability, making sure that you do have people to come off the bench. So getting Emma Mieseman was a coup. I don't think anybody. I think it was them, Minnesota. I
Phoenix.
forget Phoenix. Wherever she went, she was going to make them better. So
Literally.
I don't know. I think she had a relationship. I think with Sandy Brondella or whatever. I don't know
Yeah.
what the
I think
specifics
she's
were.
played for Sandy Brondello at some point in her career, and
Okay.
then she also played with Stewie and Jonquel in Turkey. She's played with, Natasha Cloud in Washington. There was just a lot of relationships there.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure somebody's going, "Man, I know they tampered with that. Whatever the was, they broke it. How did they get her?" But those are all genuine previous relationships. So
Yeah.
I can understand why she went there. But wherever she was going to go, she's going to make it better. So I think the bench play is going to be key. I think both teams have 9 players. And at one point, I said, I think it might have been a couple weeks ago, I thought Minnesota just a smidge was better than New York. I keep going
Yeah.
back and forth because at the beginning of the season, I was like, New York has the best bench
Yeah.
in the league. And then Minnesota started playing better. And now New York gets Emma Mieseman. And I'm like, ah.
Well,
Going
what
back.
I'm curious about is that the WNBA trade deadline is in like a week and a bit. Like,
Yes, on the
yeah,
7th, August 7th.
August 7th. And Cheryl Reeve and the Minnesota Lynx front office have, in recent years, made really good moves. Like last year, they did the Maisha Hines Allen move to get her to Minnesota. And so I'm curious if they end up kind of going somewhere and trying to get like a depth bench player to kind of just like boost, just like New York did, like just try and boost their lineup, a little chess piece, if you will. And I think like they have, the ability to do that maybe better than anyone in the league, just because they have that. I mean, look at how far they've built this team in just a few years from where they were in the lottery in like 2022, 2023. So I'm curious to see if that becomes a factor for Minnesota, especially just to try and keep up with the fact that New York is making these little tweaks to their roster. I mean, I don't know if you'd call Emma Meesseman a tweak, but they're just leveling up.
Yeah, it's funny because I went and I looked at the Minnesota roster and I was like, who would I trade if I needed to? And I keep coming back to Natisha Heidemann only because
Gonna break up the
they,
stud buds?
well, listen, it's business. Uh, they need somebody bigger who can defend, who can shoot.
Yeah,
And so I'm thinking, obviously they need Kayla McBride can play point guard if they need for her
yeah,
to. And so that would obviously it would be sort of a bigger guard, not a post player, but a bigger guard who can handle the basketball and who can defend because that's her size. I think is. And I think she's a great player. I'm not denigrating her by any stretch of the imagination, but if you're looking at the team, especially if you're going to go up against New York, who has big guards like that, that's a disadvantage for Minnesota. So I don't know. Minnesota is like you said, they do really well in terms of finding people that fit. So it'll be interesting to see. I can't imagine them not making a move, but you never know.
yeah. I see the headline now, which is like coach breaks up stud
I
buds.
know, I know. Anybody listening to this is gonna, yeah, I'm probably gonna get crushed for that, but
It's
um,
okay. No, I get what you're saying. It's business, and if it levels them up to be able to compete with New York, which is the goal, because they feel like they got it taken from them last year. What I would miss is the Stud Buds Championship reunion. If you did
oh
break
yeah,
them up,
that's
the live
that
stream.
is true. That is true, but that doesn't mean you still can't have the stud buds.
It's true.
They won't be on the same team.
Yeah.
It'll just be
Unique
a unique,
circumstance
yeah, unique circumstance.
in
And
which Natisha is on the bus, but she's no longer on the team.
you know what? And I was thinking the other day, I hope they trademark stud buds. I really do. I hope they did that. If they
Yeah.
didn't, that's a lot of money that's going to be lost because somebody out there is already doing it if
Yeah.
they haven't done it.
Exactly. Oh man. All right, let's get to your next one. I think we're on number 4 now?
Yes. So
Okay.
coaching.
Coaching. Oh, love that.
Yes. Yeah. I think both coaches are good coaches, and I think it's going to be not just the game to game adjustments, but the in game adjustments are
Mhm.
going to be key because by this time everybody's played a gazillion times and everybody knows everybody. Everybody has access
Unless
to.
you're New York and Minnesota have played each other 0 times.
Well, yeah, but I guarantee you somebody on that staff is
Oh,
tasked
yeah.
with watching every Minnesota game,
Yeah.
so they're going to know each other really well, and they're both going to execute really well. So it's going to be the small in-game adjustments in game to game, and I don't think that Sandy Brondell is a bad coach. I think she's a really good coach. I'm just going to give the edge to Cheryl Reeve
Oh, Cheryl,
um,
we love
in
her.
in terms of the in-game adjustments. But we'll see. But I think that that's obviously key. You can't win without the players, but then you have to have a plan.
It's true, and I mean, when we think about, like, coaches this season, it's wild that, like, when you think about coach of the year, those 2 aren't really dominating the conversation. I mean, Nate Tibbetts has been up there in terms of coach of the year considerations. And so like I'm curious too, like if that is a factor to which 2 teams end up making the finals, like in terms of these teams that are right up there right now.
Yeah, I think sometimes the consistent excellence gets taken for granted. And
Yeah.
both of those coaches are excellent on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
And so people just expect that from them. And
Yeah.
just because of that, they're like, well, let's, here's somebody else who, Nate Tibbetts, which deservedly so should be in the conversation because no one thought they would be where they are, but they do
Mhm.
get lost. You have someone like Cheryl Reeve who's won 4 championships, and people are like, oh, that's she's supposed to do that, so why should she be, coach of the year? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's I think that's going to make a difference.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. What's your last point
So the
here?
last one might be the biggest one.
Woo.
You got to have some luck.
Luck! Oh, that's such a good one.
You gotta have some luck that your players are healthy, that significant people don't foul out, that your team
Mhm.
defends well, that your bench comes to play.
That the
You
refs don't
gotta have a
do
little bit of luck.
something. Yeah, I mean, it's wild to think that there's so much luck that goes into it, and obviously you have to mix luck with the work that you're putting in. Like, for example, last year when everybody was talking about, oh, like the game 5 of the championship game, and there was that call and luck and whatever,
Call
whatever. It's
here,
like,
call there, yeah.
yeah, and it's like if you had done the work to make yourself ahead by 5, even 5 points more, that wouldn't have meant anything, right? So, like, that it's like that luck, but you also have to be prepared so that luck doesn't, like, goes on your side, if that makes sense. Anyways, I definitely agree that luck is
Yeah, yeah.
is a huge part of it.
You're right. You don't want it to come down to that, but you do need, I think, a little bit of that. And I think where people I think you made a great point. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to rely on luck,
Mhm.
and the minuscule what sometimes teams don't understand is the cumulative impact of what I call my bad. So we're playing, you do something, my bad. You turn it over. I do something, my bad. Somebody else does something, my bad. And then, but the cumulative effect of all of our my bads
Yeah,
ends up you putting yourself in a position where you might have to, there is a call at the end and you're depending on that, and if it doesn't go your way you lose a championship, right?
yeah,
Everybody's going to look at that one call for Minnesota last year, but I bet you if you go back and you look at the film, there's a bunch of my bads that they could have done a better job of, so they wouldn't have the cumulative effect. And I think
yeah.
people forget about that too.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I think it just puts a spotlight on the fact that, no win or loss is, like, directly attributed to one person, especially a loss, because you have, like you said, all these my bads, and it's not just one that loses you a game. It's the 5, the 10, the amount of turnovers, the points in the paint, the rebounds, how many rebounds you got, whatever, stuff like that, fouls. So, yeah, I think it's like luck. It's a mix of, I forget the saying, when it's like a mix of luck and opportunity or something that equals success. It's like a coined term, but yeah, you really got to help yourself out by putting yourself in the right situation so that when luck does come, you're in a position for it to benefit you.
Yeah, so we'll see if toward the end of the championship we have a when we have our podcast that week, we'll see.
There we go. Exactly.
We'll
Oh
revisit those.
man. Yeah. Um, all right, let's get into the other thing that we wanted to talk about today was a few underrated players on your radar that you think will impact the success of teams as we get down into the stretch, because we are getting to a point now where the margins are razor thin. There's going to be a lot
Yeah.
riding on the next month or 2 months technically of play. And so I'm curious to hear who these players are that you have highlighted.
So these are players that are on teams that, that they're like you said, everybody's fighting
Mhm.
for position. So I picked Azrae Stevens from LA, Dana Evans from
Mhm.
Las Vegas, Lee Rue from Dallas, Sophie Cunningham from Indiana, and I hope I get her name right, Monique Akoa Makani
I believe you did.
from, yes, from Phoenix. I think, and now you know me, I have a whole list of underrated players,
Yeah.
which we could do a whole podcast on. But I think those players are going to be a huge. Their contributions are going to be huge in terms of the impact for where these teams end up for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, those players specifically, when you just name them, like, they're those people that they might not have the biggest stat line every night, but they tend to show up when teams need it. And so, like, I mean, I know Sophie Cunningham's like a great shooter. She can shoot, and she
And
tends to
she's
be
spicy. I
she's
like her.
spicy.
She's spicy. I like
Yeah.
that.
So, you know, and that helps when it comes to these, like, clutch situations when you need a couple shots down the stretch. Dana Evans is another one who I think is underrated in the sense that, like, she just definitely hasn't had the opportunity to play as much as she could to, like, really develop her game to the point, but I do think it has the potential to be a great guard. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah, I
She
mean,
scored, I forget, it was a couple of games ago, she scored 11 points in 1 quarter. People forget she's a scoring point guard, and she's
yeah,
on a team, though, where, I mean, there's only 1 ball.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
her having to navigate that, but she is a scoring point guard who can facilitate.
Mhm.
So, she can come off the bench and give them what she gave them the other night, albeit that was all in 1 quarter, but, on a consistent basis. I think that would help Vegas.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm curious about Lee Yeru on Dallas because, I mean, when you think about Dallas, obviously you think about Paige Beckers, then you probably think about, you know, Arike Gubuale, and then they also have these other rookies and players that are an impact, but they traded for Lee Yeru from Seattle after she requested a trade out of there just for more playing time. But what do you think her impact on the Wings roster is?
Because I think she is very mobile.
Mm.
She can run the floor, she can shoot threes, which for that offense spreads people out. If you're playing against somebody like Brittany Griner's not coming out there. Kalani Brown's not coming out there. And
Yeah.
so that creates some sort of mismatch for other teams in terms of how you're going to play her. But just if you watch her, she runs really well from rim to rim, and she can score. So I think that opens up the floor for Arike, for Paige. They can do a lot more things. So I don't know if Dallas is going to make the playoffs or whatever, but I do feel like they've been improved since they got her.
Yeah.
So for her, that was obviously, and for her government, and they're happy that she's playing more. But you see, what she has to bring to the table.
Yeah. I thought of as we were talking about Dallas, I wanna pull this up just to make sure that I have it right because there's been a streak going, and I wanna make sure with the game the other day that it continued. No, it came the other day. Oh, no, that was the All-Star game. Was it? Anyways, there was a streak going on that was saying that, yeah, it was the All-Star game, that Paige Beckers has never scored less than 10 points in her career so far. She's never had less than a double digit, point in or points in the games, and yeah, when you look at her game log, the only game she had less than was, 6 points in the All-Star game, but other than that, she's had 10 plus points in every single game she's played in this season.
Yeah, by far the leading candidate for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah,
She
so I wanted to
wasn't
highlight
that
that.
year because she was hurt, but yeah, by far.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that conversation has kind of dipped a little bit. She was injured, like you said at the beginning of the season. She got a little concussion. But yeah, every game she's played, 10 plus points, and I mean now she's averaging 18.2 points a game as a rookie. So, I mean, little Paige, they grow up so fast. Um, but anyway, we were talking about Dallas, so I wanted to bring that up because I keep seeing that, and I mean, obviously, such a huge factor to Dallas's success over the next however many years will be her, and so yeah, just exciting to see that no matter what player they bring in, like she's the kind of player that can adapt to playing with
Yep.
anybody. So
But she's
Lee
high
Rue is,
basketball IQ, high
oh
basketball.
yeah, oh, yeah. So, yeah, it's nice to see her and, Lee Rue's chemistry continue to build for Dallas as well. But, yeah, I mean, we have, I wouldn't say a packed slate of WNBA games tonight, but we have, I think, what I like to call, like, a nice comfortable slate of WNBA games tonight. There's 3 games. You have
Only 3? Only
only
3?
3! Oh my gosh, we're only gonna have to have 2 screens going at once, and then you can turn the one off after a bit, but, yeah, so it's a Las Vegas versus Indiana Fever, then you have I think it's Connecticut versus who's the other one? Why am I forgetting this? I just had it up.
Let
Connecticut
me go to
versus Los
my
Angeles. Los Angeles. I finally got it.
I was gonna go to
Connecticut,
my app. I was giving the WNBA some
some clicks.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so those games are both at 7. Connecticut versus LA and Las Vegas versus Indiana. And then you have Seattle versus Chicago Sky. I almost said Chicago Scorm. I don't know why. This is how you know I've podcasted too
It's
much today.
you've been
Um,
gone too long on your vacation, that's what it
that
is.
yeah,
You
wow,
are
okay. Oh man. But yeah, so yeah, Seattle versus Chicago with and my mic is going down too. It's done. It's saying Chelsea, stop talking. Um Angel Reese is questionable for the game, so that will be interesting for Chicago as well. And I think with Seattle having such a rough night the other night against Dallas, I think they're going to come in hopefully looking tight and strong as a team unit today. And so it might be a little interesting for Chicago, especially if Angel Reese ends up being out.
well, and if Skylar Diggins plays tonight too, because she
Yeah.
was out the last game for personal reasons, so
Yes, yeah, she wasn't on the injury report as of this morning with anything, so hopefully that means she's good to go, but yeah, that's also an impact as well because, you definitely have to question what it would be like if she had been in the game against Dallas as well.
for
But
sure.
yeah, that's the slate of games tonight we got going for the WNBA. We are fully into the second half of the season now with the All-Star break in the rear view mirror. And I mean, yeah, it's just going to get more and more interesting from here. We have Rivals Week coming up. Woo! I don't really know what it means, but let's find out. And I mean, I'm excited in the sense that we're finally going to get the like Minnesota New York games that
When
we've
is
been
that
waiting
game?
for. They start, I think, next week, and then we have like 4 in the span of a few weeks. Let's look up Minnesota schedule. I love that I'm doing this on the fly. Um, let's see. Minnesota schedule. All right, New York. Wednesday, July 30th, next week.
Okay, is it in New York?
It is no, it's in Minnesota.
So it's gonna be a good preview. We'll see if
Oh
all the things
yeah.
I'm talking about come to
Exactly.
fruition.
By the time we talk next Thursday, we'll be recapping the game,
Yep.
which is fun. I mean, this is considering if the schedule permits. BMAC, do you think? But yeah, so they play on Wednesday, July 30th, and then they play Sunday, August 10th, Saturday, August 16th, and Tuesday, August 19th.
Wow. Okay.
3 in
Yes,
a
that
row. Literally, Minnesota has New York on the schedule 3 games in a row. It's not even a back to back. It's a back to back to back.
yeah, I don't know what software they use for scheduling, but hey, I want to see those games. So
It's yeah.
that'll be a good precursor to what I was talking about for the game to game adjustments.
Yeah, I will be seated for them. And the Saturday, August 16th, like that, actually, I'm going to be away that day. But either way, I'm going to be watching from a different coast. So we'll make it fun. But anyway, that's going to be a good game to see. And I'm excited to see what the like potential the finals preview will look like.
Yep, for
Oh
sure.
man. Well, I mean, that's enough yapping for today. Clearly, my brain is turning off. Thank you for listening to the Her Hoop Stats podcast for this Thursday episode. You can catch us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, online at X, Blue Sky, Instagram at herhoopstats.com. That's where all of the newsletter happen, but you can also look at like literally every stat that ever exists. Our incredible team works day and night to make sure those stats are updated, as well as cap sheets and team cap sheets if you're trying to look for, trades that could happen ahead of the trade deadline. So make sure to check out all of that too. Thanks for another great chat, Coach. I appreciate it, as always.
Good to be back.
Good to be back. All right. We'll see you next time. This is the Her Hoop Stats podcast.